Timmy Joe reviews anything.
Reviewing computer parts on YouTube.
That's
Woo! Gotta be pumped on that, right, Will? Computer parts! Woo!
Oh, yeah.
Oh, alright. I inevitably get sick, you know, what do? You're a YouTuber, and I'll come on and tell some sob story about how I'm sick, but instead of doing that, I'm just gonna... There we go! Hi there, my name's Timmy Joe. I make videos about computers on the internet, and I have a child, and he coughs right in my mouth. And then I get sick, and it's hard to make videos. But what do you do? Because it's hard to make videos anyways on the internet. Holy jeez, it's really getting warm. Whew. Good thing. I also just was out in my... check out the video right here. In my garage, overclocking a computer at minus 20. Yes! 5.6 gigahertz. Just 5.6 gigahertz. But that's a whole other... Anyways, probably has nothing to do with me getting sick. Today we're talking Crossfire on the Radeon 7970. A video that has been a long time in the making. A very nice gentleman, F2F Tech. Go check out his channel. He does all kinds of older video card... I have to get this. He does all kinds of older video card reviews. Really nice guy. He lent me another 7970 because I have one. I just did this to illustrate the point that it gets really loud and obnoxiously hot running two of these cards, but we'll talk about results and things and what have you in a second. So I got his card in the mail. I have one, not a gigahertz edition, probably one of the worst. I think it was mine at one time. It will not overclock. Most of these cards, the 7970s, will overclock to a gigahertz, no problem. I have a virtually identical card that'll go to 1050 and beyond, no problem. Mine's stuck at 925, 945. It's not even worth overclocking because the dang thing is just so bad. But then I order a Crossfire bridge. I kind of didn't think they needed it at this generation, but they definitely do. So keep that in mind. And this comes in from Amazon. It doesn't work. I tried every freaking thing to get it working in this, well, actually in that computer, and it just never, it wouldn't work. So I ordered another one, and it came in. It's a different one. Made sure it was a different one. It took about 3 weeks to come in from an Amazon, I'm assuming from China, and it comes in, and it works! Hell yeah! Got another. I'm actually testing all this stuff today on my Ryzen 7 1700 at 3.9 gigahertz with 3200 megahertz speed RAM, NVMe drive, and I actually found 10 games, 10 modern titles to play Crossfire with. And what this video is going to be is the 7970 as a 1440p card in 2017 with modern titles. Do you believe it? It actually works. Pretty good in some instances. So stick around. We're gonna do some things. This is a Lego, but I did a lot of benchmarking for this and a lot of troubleshooting, a lot, whatever. So it's gonna be a fun video. It's gonna be worth it to check out this older hardware and the kind of mileage you can get out of it if you're willing to sacrifice a lot of pain and heartaches in troubleshooting to get it working. But if you have access to two 7970s, could be a 1440p option, but probably not. So let's get into some benchmarks, and then we can kind of break down everything I did to get those benchmarks, the pain in the ass that it was, because I think, as we'll see right here... Alright, so yeah, holy benchmarks. 10 games, okay? And I tested both Crossfire on and Crossfire off with this situation, as well as made sure I found the best mix of settings to get 60 frames a second at 1440p. And I'm happy to say with the majority of games I was able to do it. There were a few games I could not get Crossfire working on. Doom could not. I don't know if it's my version of Doom or what the hell. The Vulkan version is supposed to enable Crossfire. I could not get it to do it for the life of me. Wolfenstein New Colossus won't work. Deus Ex Mankind Divided won't work. But a lot of titles on here, Far Cry Primal, Grand Theft Auto, worked, and it was a pretty decent setup. So what we'll do is we'll jump into some benchmarks, and then I'll show you PUBG me playing a little PUBG with this thing and how kind of annoying it was with online titles. And then we'll jump back to me in the studio and do a little final conclusion. Okay, so you want to use your Crossfire, you have it all set up, you've gone through the headaches of getting it working, getting the right bridge, getting a proper power supply, and it's working, but you want to use it on a day-to-day basis. Here we are, we freshly loaded the computer, and as far as I can tell, by default, you have to go in and enable Crossfire. On a game-to-game basis, maybe you can tell it to load a profile. It seems like if I just generally want to use Crossfire, there's no way to, save the settings. I have to go right-click the desktop, go into gaming, go into global settings, and then click AMD Crossfire, confirm, and switch this over. Now, because I'm filming, and only because I'm filming, it just worked right away. But there were several instances while I was doing my testing that I would do that and nothing would happen, and I'd have to redo that whole little sequence of buttons, and then the screen would flicker and it would work. But today it just seems to be working right. So keep that in mind. It's finicky. All right. So it seems to work with PUBG. The little icon comes up. Oh, see, AMD Crossfire technology is up there in the corner, so we know Crossfire is working. And I get weird stuff like this. Okay, my cursor right now is blinking funny. This is blinking like crazy. This is because the GPU is, sharing the workload between two of them, and this game just doesn't know how to handle it. Now, thankfully, it actually does work a little better once you go into a game, but also does not work better at all. Alright, we have our frame counter up here. We're about to make a little jump. Let's jump. We'll try and get to Gatka. Actually feels like it's running half decently. 65 frames a second at 1440p. This seems like a dream, come true. Crossfiring some old cards can basically equal a 1440p card until you realize any online game is going to be a joke because there's too much frame stutter. There's a really... Oh, see, I'm stuttering already. I had a horrible time recording any of this, too. So here. 46, 41 frames a second. Not so bad. For PUBG, that's actually sort of playable. See, now what happened there? I opened the door. Oh, now the light. Oh, see? And I died. That's my experience every time. I don't have time to react before someone has taken me out because there's so much frame stutter. The door didn't open right there. It was weird. So that's my point. There's weird blinking things, terribly unoptimized, but this is about the worst of the worst games when it came to using Crossfire. Single player games, maybe you can live with some of the frame stutter, but here, let's throw back to me over here. So, if you want to look cool, have 2 graphics cards in your system, have to buy really hardcore power supply that's going to power these things, probably recommend a 600, well, probably 750 watt. That's what this one is, and a really good motherboard processor, that's going to back this thing up. You might be able to get some 1440p gaming on this little system here, this 7970 and 2 of them, even with a really bad one like mine. If you had 2 gigahertz editions, I think it would have worked a lot bit better, but there's definitely some caveats to that. It is really annoying to get this all working, and once you do get it working, it might be working for a day perfectly, and the next day you go to use it and there's some quirk that's popped up. Or if you get a new game, and you throw it at it, it might not work correctly. It might not have the results you thought. Sometimes there were flickering in the games where I didn't, there wouldn't normally be flickering with one GPU enabled, or there wasn't, when I tested the one GPU. Online games are pretty much a no, because you cannot reliably depend on the 2 cards to render frames properly. The 1% lows just get too low, and the stuttering, the micro stuttering and stuff like that is apparent. The screen tearing is apparent. So I think NVIDIA does SLI a little better than AMD does Crossfire, and even NVIDIA has been shying away from doing SLI. I bet their new their new release of cards won't even have connectors for it, because it's just, it's not really that great a technology. It requires a lot of R&D and extra driver optimization and stuff like that. That's just not worth it in the end, especially when GPUs are getting so damn good. This was kind of a technology, meant for back when, the doubling of graphics technology was really happening like every year, every other year. It made it so you could go and pick up another one of your GPUs and still stay in the game for a couple of years. Well, Moore's Law is kind of ending, and, we see NVIDIA is not even planning on releasing a card for, it's been 2 years since the launch of their current generation of cards, and AMD's been having a hard time even launching something that's better than, some of this stuff. So it makes sense that they're shying away from, the SLI, the Crossfire, and, we'll just go single GPU kind of things from here on out. But, I could definitely see why. It sucks. It's unoptimized, it's hard to get working, and when it does work, it doesn't work as well as one card ever could. So, I'm at WatchTimmy on Instagram and Twitter. I hope you liked my retrospective on the things that are possible when you link 2 older AMD graphics cards together and make them go at it. Theoretically, really brings some new life to an aging GPU, but in the end, the trouble's just, it's not worth the trouble, and you're going to end up with a lot of micro stuttering and compromises when, if you just go out and buy, like, let's say a GTX 1060 6GB edition, will beat the pants off of this and requires 1 connector, not 4, from your power supply. I'll see you guys in another video. Thank you very much for watching. Love you guys later. Wow!